All right, peace and much love. Zin Uru here. Welcome to the latest message from the Minister. This week's message from the Minister is expect the unexpected. Expect the unexpected. You feel me? This is one of the key principles in life, especially the spiritual life, is to just expect the unexpected. And when the unexpected happens, you're never really surprised. In fact, you expected it to happen. When the unexpected happens, I expected this to happen because it's unexpected. But it also gets a little bit deeper than that, because we're going to talk about, expect it to happen in an unexpected way. We get into the things like the so-called law of attraction and, just the idea of as we co-create our reality, as we, co-create our lives with the creator of all that is, with God. We should expect the unexpected, because we don't want to limit ourselves. We don't want to limit our expectations. We don't want to limit our so-called manifestations to our limited understanding of the way that earth works, the way that spirituality works, the way that nature works, the way that God works. So it's not going to be a super long lesson tonight. I said that last week and it ended up being almost an hour and 40 minutes. So, we'll see how it goes. But I want to welcome you all here in spirit. Each and every week we talk about this, but it's just such an important part of our understanding of what this realm is, what this dimension that we live in is, called Earth. On Earth, we experience what we call time and space. And in time and space, we realize that there's distance between objects, or there's distance between events. And in spirit, though, however, spirit being all-encompassing, there's no such thing as time and space for the spirit, except for the spirit is having an experience of time and space. Therefore, no matter where you're at watching this video, no matter how far forward in the future, no matter how many years in the future, I'm recording it now, so everybody watching this is in the future. My future self is literally editing this video right now. While I'm recording this, my future self is editing this video, looking back on his past self. And, so it doesn't matter how far forward in the future. It could be a week after this recording, a few days after this recording. It could be 100, 200, 300, 400 years after this recording. Maybe a future incarnation of myself, Zin Uru, is watching this specific recording. Who knows? I like to think about that often, like when I record music, I wonder, will my future self hear this? And not my future self as Zin Uru in this incarnation, but a possible future incarnation. Will I be able to hear my music? Will I be able to see a message from the Minister? There's certain past incarnations, people get to read books that they may have written in a past life or another lifetime, I think it's just something fascinating to think about, and something that, you might want to think about, leaving yourself some clues for a possible future, a future expression of yourself, a possible future lifetime, But for those of you who are watching this in the distant future, welcome. You are here now with us in spirit. I see the room filling up more and more. Wow, there's a lot of people. The vision, the sight is that, when I first started this, and I would say, there's no such thing as time and space in the spirit, and, everything is happening right here, right now. It doesn't matter how far forward in the future or how far, I'm recording this in San Antonio, Texas. Who knows where on earth you may be watching this. In earth, you may be watching this, or, time and space, we're all here in spirit. And so I was saying in the beginning days, I'm looking at this room here, and I would see, 20, 30 people. Now I'm seeing the walls are disappearing now, and I'm seeing a vast amount of people. And that's just part of the visualization. I wasn't expecting that, but things happen. I was expecting the audience to grow, and now it's happening in an unexpected way. And, whatever we may think about technology is always a tool. And technology being a tool means that, especially for hip-hoppers, is that we don't go to work for technology. Technology doesn't put us to work for its own advancement. We put technology to work and use for our own personal advancement. We say that hip-hop is the last of the human skills, that Hip hop doesn't require anything other than the human body, the human sight to be performed. So, as an MC, I don't need any technology to rap. I can rap at any time, anywhere. I don't even need lights on. I can rap in the dark, as a b-boy and b-boys, they don't need any technology. Their body is their God technology, and they're able to dance. Same thing with the DJ, though. And people might say, oh, but DJs, use technology. Yeah, some do. Some just let the technology run them. They don't even interact with the technology. But a real DJ manipulates and interacts technology for it, for the DJ's vision, for the DJ sound. This is what the DJ hears. And so he manipulates technology for his own advancement, or for the advancement of the music or the culture, or for the advancement of hip hop. The technology isn't using the DJ is manipulating and using the technology. And even in nature, the teacher pointed this out in a lecture I saw him one time, is that, cutting, mixing, and scratching, that's ancient. Well, what we call cutting, mixing, and scratching as a DJ, that's ancient. Our ancestors discovered so many things through cutting things open, cutting bark open, discovering what's under, cutting roots open, cutting roots in half, mixing them together, scratching surfaces. Scratching surfaces used to be the way of the graffiti artist even. People used to scratch their, etch their names on walls, stone walls. So it's very interesting because, there's tools in our life. And I don't really see technology. They say, oh, and I even use it in my rhymes, warning people about, artificial intelligence and so forth. But at the end of the day, these are all human programs. And there are humans out there who want to use technology to rule over humanity. They want to use the tool of technology to rule over humanity. And then there's those of us who use technology to our own end, to the end of freeing humanity, freeing people. And so it is a useful tool to have a camera like this and to have access to, say, this is up on YouTube right now currently, or whatever platform it may be on in the future. It's to our advantage that I can speak to a larger group of people through the use and the manipulation of this camera. But what does that have to do with expect it to happen in an unexpected way? What does that mean? Expect it to happen in an unexpected way. Well, when we limit our vision, our expectations, and we're going to read what expect means. When we limit our expectations, we limit our, what's the word I'm looking for? When we limit our expectations, we limit our experience. And what I mean by that is that if we just go by what we know, well, how do we learn? What's the point? If there's not some kind of mystery involved, what's the point? Now, I've talked about this often and say, when we're visualizing something, we say, say for instance, let's just use the classic example of a new car or a used car, or just a new car to you, And people will say, oh, I'm visualizing this new car. And most of the time, people, while they're visualizing the new car, using the quote unquote, the law of attraction, they say to themselves, I visualize this car, and then they start thinking about how that car is going to come to them. They start saying, oh, I expect that car to come to me. I expect it to cost this much a month. I expect it to, I expect to make the down payment this time. I expect to work for that. And all of a sudden, they're lining up the so-called manifestation. And what they're doing is they're limiting the entire infinite universe with its infinite possibilities to bring something into their life in such a way that it becomes finite and it only becomes limited to their experience. I don't know how many things in life, and really, like the major things in my life, happen in such an unexpected way. I didn't plan for them to happen the way that they did. I didn't visualize for them to happen the way they did, but yet they happened. And those things that came unexpectedly were so profound that they changed the course of my life forever. I'll give you an example. The first time when I was driving down on January of 2005, I got invited to the roundtable discussion. And the roundtable discussion, I'll put the picture up here. The father of hip hop culture, Cool DJ Herc, was there. Grandmaster Kaz was there. Chief Rocker Busy B was there. Of course, the teacher was there. Cool Mo D was there. And they were discussing hip hop. They were discussing the history of hip hop and where hip hop was going to go in the future. Now, when I went down to that first meeting, I had an expectation of, I would really like to run into the teacher, run into KRS-One and talk to him, That was my expectation. But I guess in my own mind, I expected it to happen in such a way, and it happened in such a different way than I expected it. So I was going through, I got down there and got in a wreck on the way, didn't expect that to happen, and drove my wrecked car down. If you don't know the story, I got to just make a video called My Story. Right? I've recorded certain videos on it, but, this part of the story is that, the very first time that I met the teacher face to face, I had attended a few shows before, concerts, but I was in the audience. And so on January 9th, 2005, the exact day, I pulled up, me and my brother were there. We were going to the roundtable discussion, and we pulled up, parked across the street from the Temple of Hip Hop building. We got there really early. We had to check out of the hotel. It was like 11 o'clock, and I don't remember, the event started at like 4 or something like that. I don't remember the exact time that the event started, the roundtable discussion, but we got there really early, went and found some food to eat. We're hanging out in the truck because it was just pouring down rain, so it was a dry place to stay. And started seeing people coming in and out. Saw somebody come in and unlock the building, and saw him moving some chairs in. And so, helpful people run up there real quick. Hey, we'll help you. We'll load these chairs in. It was, like I said, it was raining. So it's like, thanks. We started loading the chairs in. People started showing up with sound equipment. Camera people started showing up. And, so I'm just sitting there working. All of a sudden, the teacher walks in, And I was like, there's the teacher. And he's got books in his hand. He's got a big box of books in his hand. And I ran up to him. I was like, teacher. He's like, peace. I said, can I give you a hand? He's like, word. He's like, there's a box in that car over there. Go over there and get the box. And he had this Escalade. Remember that white Escalade? Every time I see a white Escalade, I think about the teacher. And so I went and grabbed the box of books, brought it inside. Where do you want this? He said, set them down over there. And I had brought a couple books for him, right? I brought a couple books. The Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, and a book on capoeira, martial arts. And I said, I got a present for you. I got a gift for you. Handed him those books. He's like, thank you. He's like, we need to build later. I'll talk to you later. And he's like, I got to move. I'm on the run. You see what it is? And I was like, word. And gave him a pound, and, he walked off, and I didn't see him for a few hours. We were just sitting there getting the building ready, and people were starting to come in and whatnot. But by the time he arrived again, the place was packed. And it was packed, and everybody wanted to see the teacher, right? Everybody was there to see the teacher. So we did the roundtable discussion, historic roundtable discussion, and it was fascinating, fascinating. I just had my mind blown. And so, I had a long drive to get back home. Me and my brother had a long 8-hour drive to get back home. And so I was like, I really want to talk to the teacher before I go. He said, let's break bread later. So I took that to heart. I was like expecting to talk to him, right? And so I go and I look for him, and I see him, and he's just surrounded by people. There's people everywhere. And I thought to myself, oh man, I'm not even going to get a word in edgewise. I want to talk with him. Don't forget, he called my house months before. Just put that little piece in there to talk to me, and I was never able to get a hold of him because the phone number changed. And so I'll quicken up the story here. I'm like, I got to go. And so I told my brother, I was like, I'm going to go to use the restroom real quick, and and we'll get going. And so I don't know, whatever it takes to use the restroom. It took me 5 minutes, go use the restroom, come out, wash my hands, come out. And I didn't see him in the room. I was like, that's interesting. Okay. And so Me and my brother, go through the front door of the Temple of Hip Hop building there on Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles. And lo and behold, our truck was parked right across the street. He's standing right next to the truck, which is one other person. Expect it to happen in an unexpected way, my nobility. This is God. This is the way God works. And this is how you know it's from God. Because you didn't plan it to happen this way. It happened though. And it happened in a way that's even better than you could have imagined. Imagine that. That God actually can help you see things and help things happen in your life that will happen in a better way than you could have ever imagined. But you got to be mindful too, because sometimes, we'll go against God's will and we got to suffer the consequences too. But this was obviously in God's alignment, So I just took my opportunity. I walked right up to the teacher, stood next to him. He's looking at the building, and I just said, "Hey, that building looks like a big H coming out of the ground." He's like, "Word, I didn't even see that. Yo, peace, good to meet you. Hey, what's your name?" And I was like, "Yo, I've been meaning to speak with you." I go, "You called my house, He said, "Oh, I call a lot of people, refresh my memory." And I said, "I'm the guy who's sending down the checks." "You're the one. You're the only one who's been sending the checks." And, and so we started breaking bread there. Got to, he said, "Hey, let's build in the future. Got to break." People started coming around after we were talking for a good 5-10 minutes. But he knew who I was after that moment. He wanted to talk to me and get to know me better because he had realized that I was, hip hop. And he said, he's like, you're the only one who gets this in. He actually said that to me. "You're the only one who sees this." Now, I wasn't even Zen then. He said, "You're the only one who sees this. We need to build. I need to build with you. You see the vision. You know what it is." Because I had written letters about the vision and I wanted to help in any way I could. Now, I was expecting to help assist the teacher in the Temple of Hip Hop. I never expected to be helping him directly like that, like one-on-one. And I never expected to have a full apprenticeship. I never expected to go on the tour that would become the Gospel of Hip Hop tour in 2005. I never expected any of that. So if I would have limited myself to what my expectations were, I would have drove down, went to the event, shook his hand, and went home. That would have been it. But because God is so great and God can work outside of our known reality and outside of our known intelligence and outside of what we think we know, we live in this mystical place, in this mysterious space that is so important for us to realize that if we get out of our own way, when we get out of our own way and we let go and let God, that's a famous saying, but it's one of the greatest sayings, it's an ancient saying, let go and let God, we'll start to realize that life itself happens through us and not to us. I was just in the flow and ended up standing next to the teacher, standing there by my truck, and history was made in that moment. My destiny was met in that moment, even to this day, And I'm so grateful to God that I was never limited to my own visualization. I wasn't limited to my own understanding, I wasn't limited to my knowledge. I wasn't limited to my own imagination even. So I want to say to my nobility out there, when you let go and let God, expect God to happen, but expect God to happen in an unexpected way. And my whole life is like this, it wasn't always just, even before I learned these techniques, these certain things would happen. And, looking back in my life, I always had the best of the best as my mentors or the best of the best as my friends, And I don't take that for granted. I don't take that for granted. I don't take it for granted that somehow God has blessed me in such a way that I just want to be able to return that blessing in any way possible. These videos that I make, this is my gratitude towards God. You feel me? I do these so other people can hopefully glean some kind of wisdom or some kind of lesson, some kind of practical life lesson that helps them in their life. But if I would have limited, if I would have limited at any time through my apprenticeship, my own visual, and I tried to visualize it. I tried to make everything work out to my will, and then I would get dusted. I'd end up crash landing and then have to be patient and get back in alignment with God's will, plan, and perfect purpose for my life, purpose for my life. Why? Because God knows more than you do. God knows more than I do. God sees more than either of us can ever see. God knows everything about us. God knows more about us than we know about ourselves. So when we say we let go and let God and we expect it to happen in an unexpected way, we really got to mean that, you know? And I mean, down to the little things in life, You know, this is the way that the hip hop site works. And I'll say that the hip hop site, capital H, lowercase I, lowercase p, lowercase h, lowercase o, lowercase p, hip hop is one word. Hip hop is consciousness. Part of that consciousness is to expect things to happen in an unexpected way. I used to sit there and, tell the teacher I'm an MC. And he said, well, you better be ready to grab the mic. Expect to grab the mic. But that was it. He didn't say, Zin, next Monday night at the show, I'm going to hand you the mic at approximately 8:37 p.m. I want you to grab the mic. You're going to hold it for 1 minute and 90 seconds. And when you grab that mic, you're going to spit this rhyme. No, that's not how it worked. I'd go to the show. I wasn't there as a sideman or even as a performer. I was there as an apprentice to learn. And so my first thing that I would really excel at was selling merchandise. And, Minister G. Simone, shout out to the Queen, Minister Simone, she said to me, she said, hey, you could work your MCing into selling these t-shirts. You got to be able to speak clearly to people and you got to kind of dazzle them, give them the old razzle dazzle while you're selling the t-shirts and you'll sell more merchandise. And so I was like, oh, okay. So, I used to stand up on the table and hold shirts. I would be like, I used to think about, going to baseball games when I was a kid and they'd get your programs, get your programs. And those guys would project their voice and they'd have jokes, some of them, or they'd have little movements to get people's attention. So I used to flip open CDs and be like, hey, you want this? And holding shirts up and I had a whole system worked. I still do when I sell merchandise, but I had a whole system worked out to be entertaining while I'm selling the merch. And I was the most successful merch person ever at that time. I was selling merch. I was good at it. And it even became part of the show. Teacher would be like, yo, he'd be up on stage, he'd be like, yo, Zin Uru, where you at? And I'd jump up on the table and be like this. And sometimes they turn the spotlight on me. And he'd be like, yo, if you need, I'm going to be back at the table with Zin. And after the show, get your merchandise now. I'll autograph it. I'll autograph what you have. Go get your merchandise now. And we'd start getting flooded. And so I'd be up there standing on the table like, yo, get 2 shirts. You need 2? You need 3? What size you need? And doing that. And so I was getting my work in, being in front of people. I got this hair just like hanging out my eye. Hold on a second. There we go. I got my work in and as an MC selling merchandise. And then I remember, I expected to get into ciphers, got into ciphers and things like that. But I'll never forget one time teacher, I'm helping him get up on stage, right? And I was like, I'm busy. I'm making sure that the DJ is ready to go. I'm making sure that the mics are working. I'm making sure that the stage is clear. Just doing all the stuff that a road manager would do. And he goes, Zin. I go, yo. He hands me the mic. He goes, hold on to this. I hold on to the mic. He goes, I got to tie my shoe. I need you to go warm up the audience real quick. He just bends down and starts tying his shoe. I didn't have a moment to say, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? Because I already knew expected to happen in an unexpected way by this time. And so I just grabbed the mic and I didn't know how long I had. I didn't know what I did. Went out there, yo, what city was it? It was somewhere in Oregon. I think it was Ashland, Oregon. I want to say it was in Ashland, but I don't remember off the top of my head. Or Eugene. It was Eugene, Oregon. Yo, Eugene, make some noise. Is Eugene in the house? Yo, hip hop, make some noise. Yo, ready for the teacher KRS one? When I say hip, y'all say hop. Hip, hop, hip, hop. And I started warming up the crowd. Then he came running out. And I just handed him the mic. He's like, yo, check 1, 2. Zin, good looking out. Boom. And he just started ripping the mic. But for me, I was like, oh, the heavens opened up. But it happened in an unexpected way. And I mean, I could sit here all night telling you stories about this. I probably told the stories before, like when we broke down Everything we need is in our environment. That's another thing. Everything you need is already in your environment. You just got to know where to look. And if you don't need it, it won't be in your environment. And so, like, one time we ran out of gas. I was in the back of the van. Shout out to my man Crane out there. Crane was driving. I woke up like the moment we were running out of gas. I was laying there. There's a bed in the back of the van, and I was sleeping, taking a nap. And I woke up. I said, hey, I think we're about to run out of gas. He's like, no, we good. Boom. The car literally ran out of gas, and we had to be at a show. Like we were on a schedule. And he's like, oh, man. I said, yo, this is a perfect time. We got to expect it to happen in an unexpected way. It's going to happen for us. And literally, like a minute goes by and this highway worker sees us. He's coming this way on the opposite side of the freeway, turns around, because they got the lights on, turns on the flashing lights, turns around, comes up to our car, parks in front of us. Hey, can I help you out? We're out of gas. He goes and grabs the 5-gallon in the gas container out, puts it in the car. I offer him cash. He's like, no. He's like, don't worry about it. We got gas for these situations. This is what tax money goes to. This is a service. And we were off on our way. And me and Crane were laughing about it. We still laugh about it to this day when we talk. Like we were just laughing about it. We thought it was hilarious that it just happened so quick and it happened like that. And so when you go through these situations, acknowledge them for the miracle that they are. And, Safety, there's a movie, a great movie. I think it's Spike Lee's best movie. Well, that and He Got Game. He Got Game, one of the greatest movies of all time. You got to watch He Got Game, one of the greatest movies ever made. And the other one is The Miracle of St. Anna. Boom. The Miracle of St. Anna. Wow. Very, not a lot of people talk about that when they talk about Spike Lee movies, but in that movie, at the end of the movie, I won't give away it, but there's a speech at the end of the movie, and he says he's talking about safety, and he's saying something to the effect that, safety is the greatest risk of all. Because with safety, we cancel out miracles, and miracles are the only sure thing in life. And I'll tell you my nobility chills right now. Miracles are the only sure thing in life. You can count on God in a miraculous event to save you, to rescue you, to nourish you, to enhance you, to revitalize you, to rejuvenate you, to perfect you. You can expect those miracles from God all the time. And when those miracles happen, we don't sit there and say, oh, wow, can you believe that happened? Because no, we expected it to happen. But we acknowledge it. Thank you, God, the giver, for God, the gift. Thank you, God, for this miracle in my life. But we don't want and ask God for more miracles. We expect the more miracles, but we say to God, when you really want to get deep with it, God, how can I be more like you, the miracle giver? God, how can I be more like you, the miracle giver? I want to know you better, God. I want to be more like you, God. How do I become more like you, God? That's the respect. And so many times it happens with the so-called law of attraction. People get caught up thinking, oh, I manifested this. I'm manifesting this. I did it too, to a certain degree, although I've always given it up to God on one level or another. But, I got real comfortable with the law of attraction when anything I thought about would just start popping into my life. And then it just stopped working. And I thought something was wrong with me. And I didn't realize, well, yeah, there was something that needed to be corrected about me. And that was that God was like, yo, this ain't about what you try and visualize in your life. This is about the gifts that I have for you that you can't even imagine I got for you. And my nobility, you cannot imagine the beautiful miracles that God has specifically for you and your life. You can't imagine them. But when they happen, oh, wow. Acknowledge God and in sincere reverence. Thank you, God. I appreciate you, God. How can I be more like you? How can I help you, God? What are you asking from me today, God? Because a lot of people approach God in the universe like it's their baby mommy or daddy or some magic genie in the lamp, and I demand this and I demand this from God. I demand this from the universe. But they don't really want to give back to God. They want to manipulate God, but they don't want to be manipulated by God. And remember, to be manipulated means to be prepared ahead of time. There's a lesson the teacher taught me. He's like, Zin, you don't want to think you're walking around manipulating God. You want to be manipulated by God. And he broke it down. He's like, when you're manipulated by God, that means that God is going to prepare you in advance. God is going to have you ready in advance. And I thought, wow, that sounds amazing. You mean to be manipulated by God? God's going to prepare the way for me, and God's going to prepare me in advance for what's coming? Oh, wow. So many miracles in life. So many things that I would even only talk to people about on a personal level. The medicine visions that I had at the Native American ceremonies and the ayahuasca and just so many things happen. And like I said, you just start walking in a miracle. Your environment becomes a miracle. You become the miracle. The things that you can do and say and help other people with, whether they know it or not, you begin to become the vehicle for the miracle in people's lives. So don't ever, ever, ever get caught in the ways of the world or this modern, new agey, fluffy way of thinking that these dudes walk around like, hey, I'm the master of the universe. Come pay me $500, $5,000 to tell you how you can be the master of the universe. No, you'll never be the master of the universe. The only way to master the universe is to surrender to the universe. The only way to master God is to surrender to God and know that God is infinitely faster, infinitely more intelligent, infinitely more loving, infinitely more aware than you will ever be. And that's great. What else would you want from a loving parent than a loving, kind parent who not only loves you, but is preparing you? And sometimes those lessons, sometimes those lessons of preparation, they can get rough. God ain't no lightweight. God don't sit there and make things easy for everybody. If God was easy, everybody'd be doing God. If walking in the miracle was easy, everybody'd be walking in the miracle. If expect it to happen in an unexpected way was easy, everybody'd be doing it. But no, everybody wants to get down and write the code, get on the computer and say, I need to have this much money now and this much money then and this much money then. And by the time I'm 20, I'm going to be doing this. By the time I'm 30, I'm going to be doing this. By the time I'm 40, I'm going to be doing this. 50, I'm going to retire with this much money in the bank. And when I retire with this much money in the bank, I'm going to be living here. And people work like that. People do that all the time. And I got no, hey, if that's the way the universe is working for them, more power to them. But I'll tell you, they ain't having no fun like this. They ain't on the adventure of a lifetime. My life is an adventure. My life is a non-stop adventure. It's amazing. I can't even tell you the miracles that I experience on the daily. And not just me, those I know experience miracles on the daily. You cannot go through this life walking spiritually and then demanding from God that God bend to your will. No, surrender to God's will, plan, and purpose for our lives. And that happens when we expect the unexpected. And when something unexpected, like you just run into somebody unexpectedly that you didn't really expect to meet, wow, that's something to pay more attention to. Those unexpected events in your life, pay attention to those events because that's God working. Sometimes we got chores and we the night before we say, hey, I got to go do this tomorrow. And our life, I'm not saying just live a disorganized life. You can organize your life in such a way. You can pre-plan. It's called the power of future. You can look ahead, but leave the space for God. Because while I'm going about my day, I might run into the person I need to run into unexpectedly. But God expected it to happen. You might just run into somebody tomorrow that you didn't really know, but you needed to run into that. Like tomorrow, you might run into the person who's going to help you on your future, help you with your purpose tomorrow, like literally. Or somebody might run into you tomorrow that you're there to help them with their purpose. You're there as the hand of God, as the voice of God, as the gift of God to them. This is high reverence here, my nobility. This is high reverence. This is high spirituality. Because what it takes letting go of the ego and thinking that we know and surrendering to a force that's greater than us, that's working through us, that does know. And not that we don't know anything or not that we're just so ignorant, but the mystical life, a life of mystery, a life of excitement, a life of adventure, there's nothing that compares to it. And this begins with self-creation. This begins when we begin visualizing ourselves. I said, my name's Zin Uru, it means the promised land. And now I'm walking in the promised land. When I said those lyrics, I just thought they sounded fresh. My name's Zin Uru, it means the promised land, because I feel at home wherever I stand. Said that on a song called New Religion on the first album, Way of Peace. Boom. Put a link down there below. Free download on Bandcamp. It's only like 8 or 9 songs I think I got on it. But recorded that song, The Promised Land, New Religion. And said, my name's Zin Uru, it means the promised land, because I feel at home wherever I stand. Now, I did expect that to happen in my life, but I had no reference for what it would feel like and what it would look like. And now I'm walking around all the time in the promised land. And let me tell you something about that too, because don't think that when you're walking in the promised land and that you're surrounded by the promised land, that just makes life easy and you're just sitting on the beach drinking Corona, smoking a fat cigar, That might happen, but more than likely, you might find yourself, in the promised land in the dark, saying, God, where are you at? I need your help, God. God, I surrender to you. I don't know what's gone wrong in my life. I need to correct my life right now. Things aren't going the way that I wanted them for my life, God. And that's the promised land, because God needs you to know and develop that relationship with God first. As a hip-hopper, especially one living a hip-hop spiritual lifestyle, you cannot separate God from yourself. There's no atheist here at the Temple of Hip-Hop. There's no room for that. No room for that, because we are living and breathing God in every moment of every day. God is sustaining us. God is sustaining our environment. This is all happening because of the mind of God. And we are part of that mind, and so we are part of that great happening of God. So anything that happens in our life from that perspective ends up being perfect. Those dark days, the sadness, the tears, the depression, all of that was needed and necessary to nourish the light to become the person that I am today. So whatever you're going through in life, if you see it for what it is and know that God is nourishing you right now, God is nourishing you and growing you into a being that you could never comprehend on your own. Let go and let God. Expect your higher self to happen in an unexpected way. Even when I started out on my apprenticeship, I expected so many things that didn't happen the way I expected them to. But what's happened in my life is far greater than any visualization I ever had. And people could look at my life and go, oh, no, I don't want that life. It's the spirit of the life that's being lived that's important. Not what I have, not what I don't have. It's the spirit that I'm able to walk in. I have no fear of anything or anyone. Like, do you know what that means to walk with no fear? Do you have no fear? Like, you don't fear death. You don't fear the government. You don't fear loss. You don't fear gain. You don't fear nothing. I mean, nothing. I got no fear. I didn't expect to walk. That's something that was unexpected. I expected to be living a spiritual lifestyle, but God took fear out of my life. Fear motivates people in such a way. So many people are afraid to do and live and be themselves because they're afraid they're going to lose their job. They're afraid they're going to lose their house. They're afraid they're going to lose an unhealthy relationship. They're afraid they're going to lose this and that. They're so afraid of loss, when a fear of loss is a fallacy, because none of this lasts forever. None of it. The only thing that lasts forever is your eternal light and the lessons learned from that eternal light and being. All of this outer reality, this wall behind me, one day will not exist. One day, none of this will exist. 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, however, well, I take it back, these crystals will exist. These crystals will exist. These are eternal beings. Pretty amazing, huh? That in the physical world there is an eternal being. Wow, in reverence to that. But this wall, this, say this picture right here, eventually through the law of entropy, what they call the law entropy, this will eventually break down. You know, maybe it's preserved by the future. I'm going to preserve it in my personal archive, and those who value this archive, I leave these pieces, you know, to whoever's going to be the caretaker of the Zin Uru archive and my Zin Uru library. You know, I leave that, and someday there'll be another caretaker of these beautiful firestones, of these beautiful arc pillars. Someday there will be another caretaker of that. But this Bruce Lee poster someday may be hanging on somebody else's wall, and then someday it may get burnt up in a fire. I lost everything in a fire one year. We had a house fire, me and my family, we had a fire, a cabin fire. Burnt everything. I mean, everything was gone. It was like everything was gone. And it could have been devastating if we didn't let go. So when things, part of letting go and letting God is that when we lose things in our lives, we've got to let them go. They're transitionary. Every relationship is transitionary with one another. Everything physical is transitionary, meaning that it's not, they're going to be there forever. It's going to transmute and move into some other form. Like the molecules of this picture will break down and live on in some other form of cellular structure or molecular structure. But how it's designed there will last as long as it's meant to last, and then that's it. It's no more. Same with these physical bodies. These physical bodies, we don't live in this physical body forever. As much as these transhumanists think that they're going to live forever in a digital body, you got to really laugh at the stupidity of these billionaires who think they're going to live forever as a robot. Like, you got to laugh at their utter stupidity. I mean, like I won't even call them out by name right now. I studied their stupidity because they're trying to stick a microchip up every baby's ass when they're born and think they're going to make a technology-driven being in the future and think they're going to hijack the human body and manipulate it through technology. Boy, are they wrong. Boy, when God smacks them, it's going to it will be the smack heard around the world. When God slaps the shit out of them, which is going to happen sooner rather than later, I'm just going to sit back and laugh at their stupidity. And they think they're so advanced. They think, oh, we're the most advanced minds on the world. We're going to create, these artificial beings that are biology and technology mixed. And we're going to create these new bodies where a computer is going to inhabit human. Why? You think this body is you think with the magnificence of God, that this is all that God has for us is one time in this three-dimensional reality of this physical body, and then that's it? Like, I'm an eternal being. I don't even know how many, it's countless times. I can't even count how many times I've incarnated here on earth and how many more times I'll incarnate here on earth. And when I leave this body, I'll be happy. I'll be more than happy when I leave this body. I'm in no rush to leave this body. I'm grateful for this opportunity. But this body's just a rental. I'm renting this body from Earth. Earth has gifted me this body for the time that it's going to be here. I don't know how long. I project myself. I want to live 180, 200, 300. I want to break all the laws of how long a human being can live, right? But I'm only going to do that naturally. I'm going to put no technology in my body. I'm not going to interface with the fallacy of humanity, with man-made laws and man-made thinking. Oh, you got to be kidding me. So these technocrats, these guys running around thinking they're going to live through it forever through technology, let me tell you all out there, you're dumb. You're dumb. You're so stupid. Like the guys who run that stuff are so dumb. And we'll just leave it at that for right now. But those of us who are intelligent movement, who are hip to our hop, who are organic, intelligent movement, moving forward in the world, knowing that God is great and that God is the miracle and that we're going to live long past this body. Yo, let me invite you to that. Let me say to you, my nobility, let go and let God. Expect the miracles to happen in an unexpected way. And when they do, acknowledge them as they're happening in gratitude. I'll say this is the language of God is, well, the language of God is God looks at our intentions. But gratitude That's funny. I'm literally looking at a pillow my mom has in the entry hall on this little bench that says grateful. Wonderful. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Because when we're grateful to God, we get more of God. And those who are ungrateful to God, they get less of God. So if you want more of God in your life, be grateful. And be grateful for the miracle of breath. Breathing is a miracle. Your eyeball is a miracle. Water is a miracle. Like conscious awareness is a miracle of God. See, don't sit there thinking, oh, I gotta wait for these miracles to come in, then I'll be closer to God. Acknowledge the miracle that you are living right now, no matter what's going on in your life right now at this moment. You are a living miracle. A miracle. You are a miracle. Street light, a miracle, right? You are a living miracle. You are breathing. Your blood is flowing. There's all kind of actions. Your heart is beating. There's all kind of things going on with you right now that's just happening. You can't stop your heartbeat. You can't stop breathing. You can hold your breath, but you can be like, you're going to want that breath sooner or later. So you're a walking miracle right now. An eyeball, the ability to see light and transmute and translate light the way that it is, the way that this eyeball works is eyeball's all made of water, right? The way that this eyeball itself works is a miracle. Your feeling, the touch that you feel, miracle. Your smell, a miracle. Your taste, a miracle. You are a living, walking miracle. And when we acknowledge that we are a walking miracle, that's where peace is found. That's where prosperity is found. What else do you need? You're a living being, a living miracle. What else do you need? You need a little food and water to sustain life, need some shelter and some rest, need some purpose. Other than that, everything else gets to be an adventure. You tie yourself down to a heavy home with a big mortgage, it cuts off your ability to travel. You tie yourself down with a bunch of bills and an expensive car and, oh, I want the best of this, I want the best of that. And maybe the top 10, maybe the top 5% can live that way. But a lot of them are slaves to that money. They stop seeing God because they don't need God in their lives. They got so much money that all their problems, everything is met. You know, teacher teaches this lesson for MCs, and it's a great lesson. He always told me, he was like, oh, man, do I give the secret away? Yes, he's given it out publicly, and you could probably find it on, actually, I've seen it on YouTube. So I'll say it like this without giving too much of it away. But if you want to know more, I'd be glad to teach people one-on-one about it, pass on this knowledge. But he stays hungry as an MC. And that's why he doesn't try and live the multi-millionaire life, even though he knows all the millionaires in hip-hop. Even though every hip-hopper knows his name, is either afraid of him or completely respects him. Even though he knows that world, he doesn't walk in that mainstream world. Why? Because he stays hungry. His do-it-yourself attitude, his I'm going to run my own business. I'm going to be the master of my reality. I'm going to travel where I say I'm going to travel. I'm going to rock the shows that I want to rock. I'm going to make albums the way I want to make them. All of that gives him empowerment, but it also means he's still working. He's still doing what he needs to do. He stays hungry as an MC. And you'll see this. A lot of rappers are hungry. That's why some of the greatest rappers of all time, their first 1 or 2 albums are dope, and then everything is soft afterwards. They try and be hard. They got skills. I'm not saying you can't have skills as a rapper once you got money. But there's a ferociousness that comes from a rapper who's still hungry, as opposed to a fat cat living in the big mansion without a care in the world, millions in the bank, this, that, and the other. And that's a handful of them. I'm not dissing them. Live the life that you want to live. That's what it is. But I'm telling you, as an artist myself, I'm still hungry. 10 albums in, I'm hungry. I may be the hungriest MC on the planet in that way. Like, I remain hungry. Why? Because, like, I haven't had a quote-unquote song blow up. I haven't gotten famous off of that. But why? I don't care. I love rhyming. I love making dope music. I just released a fire track called I Am the Light a couple weeks ago. And man, that song is fire, if I do say so myself. Got a whole album full of them. Haven't even decided what I'm going to call this album. Got a whole album ready to drop. It's going to be dropping soon. I'll keep you posted. But I listened to that album compared to my first one that I made back in 2007, 2006, The Way of Peace, that I showed earlier. I listened to the difference between that album and the newest one. I sound hungrier now. I sound more raw now. I'm spitting harder than I ever spit before. Why? Because I stay hungry as an MC. You know, hell is a very comfortable place, and people don't want to talk about hell being a very comfortable place. But hell is full of comfort. That's why people don't want to leave. That's why the Israelites were mad at Moses out in the desert, because they had a better life. They hadn't gotten to the promised land yet. And they're like, yo, we had a way better life back in captivity in Egypt. What the heck are you doing? Right? They had a more comfortable life. Never fall for it. Never fall for it. Be willing to sleep on a floor somewhere. Be willing to sleep in a car somewhere. Be willing to go houseless at times. Especially when you're young, because the adventure is just, you got more vitality when you're young. Well, no, that ain't true. I'm 48. I got more vitality than like every 20-year-old I know. I got more vitality and more energy than every 20-year-old I know. It's just what it is. Sorry if you, I ain't trying to offend none of you out there. I just do. I got more energy than any 20-year-old I know. I got more vibrant, intelligent energy, intelligent movement energy. Without the stupidity of when I was 20. And I love all my 20-year-old brothers and sisters out there. You're in your 20s, live life to the fullest, and take care of your 20-year-old self for your 48-year-old self, because sooner or later you're going to be 48 and it's going to pass like that. And you're going to expect it to happen, but it's going to be in an unexpected way. You're going to wake up at 48 and go, wow, I remember when I was 28 and now here it is 20 years later. That happened quick, right? So prepare yourself. Eat right, exercise right, get into the good habits and discipline now in your life so you will enjoy life more when you get older. You know, I run around, I feel great. I'm in better shape than when I was 18 and 19 and 20, and I was in great shape then. I've never gotten overweight, never. I don't say that to brag, it's just a fact. It is what it is. And when you go, and I ain't dissing nobody. You get yourself back in shape. I've gotten here. My side was I got too skinny. I got too thin. You know, I was walking around like, dang, man, I'm looking like skin and bones. I need to gain some muscle mass back. I need to start eating better and working out more. But, you know, there's just this thing in life where the Babylon system, you know, the matrix system, the New World Order system wants you to be really comfortable, wants you to want. But really what it is, what do I need? And actually even beyond that, what do I require? Once you realize that all you really require in life is God, once you know that all I require is God, then nothing has power over you. Nothing has a hold on you. Sure, you got responsibilities, but because you know all I need is God to fulfill my responsibilities, you'll fulfill your responsibilities with grace and ease. Expect it to happen in an unexpected way. Let go and let God. Let's look at this definition here from the word expect. I'll put it up here on the screen. And as usual, this is from the American Heritage Dictionary, 3rd edition. And expect, and see, expect, expected, expecting, expects. This is the root word of all of this. Definition number 1A. To look forward to the probable occurrence or appearance of. Now, what I like about this definition, I think this is very good, to the probable occurrence or appearance of. Like when you expect something to happen, you're looking forward to it happening, but when you let go and let God, and you expect something to happen that isn't for your health, love, awareness, and wealth, God doesn't have to deliver that to you. So you might be trying to achieve something that God doesn't want you to achieve because it might hurt you. See? So this is where it means to let go and let God. This is where we say God willing. God, can I have a new car? God willing, I would really like the perfect whip in my life. You're going to get that perfect whip, but don't think that it's a whip that you have to have, right? Because God will put the perfect whip into your life. God knows more than you do. Definition 1B, to consider likely or certain To consider likely or certain. Well, I expect miracles in my life. They are likely and certain to happen. They are literally certain to happen. Anticipate. You anticipate it to happen. Definition 2, to consider reasonable or due. I like this example. We expect an apology, It's a reasonable request. People expect to be compensated for their work and their time. That's a reasonable expectation. But you might want to give your time away for free to those who can help you with your purpose in life. It's called charity. Perform charity, one of the divine performances. Definition number 3 of expect, to consider obligatory, require. See, we talked about that earlier. It's not just about wants and needs, but what do you require? Now, you can expect that God is going to give you what you require in life when you're in alignment with that. You say, God, what do I actually require? What do you require from me in this situation, God? What do I require in this situation, God? Definition number 4, to presume or suppose. The second class of definitions, to look forward to the birth of one's child. That's when they say, oh, are you expecting? You see a pregnant woman, they say, are you expecting? See right here, to be definition 2, to be pregnant, used in progressive tenses. My wife is expecting again. I like that because there's a requirement for life, for our lives to proceed. We require that. And never, 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 ever, ever forget that a child is a miracle. A child is the greatest miracle in life. Birth is the greatest miracle of all miracles. It's called the miracle of birth. Forget these people want to make babies be born in laboratories and they want to take human reproduction away. They want to take our ability to birth children away and make people impotent. Oh, that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. Why? Because the only sure thing in life is a miracle. And the greatest miracle in life is the birth of a child. And we were all children at one time. And your birth is still a miracle. And the birth of your children, a miracle. The Latin expectare, which is ex plus spectare, to look at, frequentive of spexere, to see. Wow, to expect is to see. We'll just look here real quick. The synonymous with expect is anticipate, hope, await, and look at this, hope. We talked about hope about 2 months ago. And hope, the root word of hope is hop. And hope is synonymous with faith. Therefore, expectation is faith. What is faith? Faith is confidence. So when we expect something to happen, we have faith that it will happen. We have confidence that it will happen. We have hope that it will happen. And hope is movement. Because hope is hop, hop is movement, hop is intelligent movement when it's with hip and hop. So we expect hip hop in our lives. When you expect hip hop in your life, hip hop will appear. When you expect God in your life, God appears. And it will happen in an unexpected way, but you've got to expect it to happen. Expect those miracles from God. Their requirement of God is to experience miracles. If you're going to experience God, you're going to experience miracles. Don't wait around for nobody else to tell you nothing. Experience it. Experience it yourself. You feel me? Experience the miracle for what it is and experience the miracle right now, this very moment. You want to feel a miracle? Put your hand on your heart and feel that heartbeat. Boom, 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 boom. And thank God right now. Thank you, God, for the miracle of my heartbeat. I am so grateful for the miracle of my heartbeat. Thank you. Now, God has some requirements from us. This isn't a one-way street where God just gives and gives and gives. No, you get to be the giver. You get to be the voice, the hand, the feet, the instrument, the tool of God in your environment. And the only way to really be sincere with God is when we're in service to God. But us being in service to God is us assisting and helping God relieve human suffering. And that's really the only aim of any spirituality, is to assist in the relief of human suffering. What else is there? When God helps relieve your suffering, wouldn't you want to help relieve the suffering of others? Not cause it? You know, that's where you go from being criminal-minded to being spiritual-minded. When you stop causing suffering to others, is what criminals do, and you start being the miracle and easing the suffering in people's lives, you become the healing in people's lives. That's what it means to be spiritual-minded. So there's no easy way to say this or easy way to do this, and there's no sugarcoating here. There's no sugarcoating here. We live in a society that perpetually teaches selfishness. Put yourself before others. Put yourself in front of everybody. Do what thou wilt. That's the law, especially nowadays. In modern spirituality, do what thou wilt. That Aleister Creepy Crowley, Creepy Crowley, nah. What is God's will, plan, and purpose for your life? What is God's will, plan, and purpose? Can you surrender to God? Can you expect God to happen in your life? Do you expect the miracles of God in your life? Do you cause suffering or do you relieve suffering? Maybe you're in transition and you may be doing a little of both, but you really want to get on that path where you help heal life itself. And when you heal life, life will heal you. When we preserve hip-hop, hip-hop preserves us. When we preserve life, life preserves us. When we help God, God helps us. Now let's just go right to the gospel of hip-hop right here. We're reading from the Fourth Overstanding, the H Law, in the awareness section. And you can turn to page 250, and we're going to be doing paragraph 78. Page 250 in the H Law, in the gospel of hip-hop, the Fourth Overstanding, the H Law, in the awareness section. From the gospel of hip-hop, presented to the temple of hip-hop by the teacher KRS-One. And you'll see why I chose this. Think about this. Expect it to happen in an unexpected way. And as we're reading this tonight, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. It's only a couple pages, but it's very important to revisit this. This is the awareness section. Know this. This is the end of it, actually. Know this. Self-management is spiritual. Self-organization is intellectual. Self-esteem is emotional. And self-governance is political. You might want to write those down and just keep those in mind all the time. Look at, write those down where you could see them for a month. And put your mind to each one of these can be meditated upon and expanded upon. I'm going to read them again. Know this. Self-management is spiritual. Self-organization is intellectual. Self-esteem, confidence, faith, hope, expectation. Self-esteem is emotional, and self-governance is political. Before you can truly learn something, you must first learn yourself. Look at that. Before you can truly learn something, you must first learn yourself and then manage and cultivate who you have discovered. Manage and cultivate who you have discovered. For when you are your authentic self without excuse or limitation, you see with your real eye, you listen with your real ear, and you speak with your real mouth. You are awake, you are aware, and now you can learn. Like the painter and the electrician walking into a room with a person untrained in electronics and painting, the spirit realm is all around us physically. People just do not see it. And they don't see it because they have not been trained to see it. All right, my nobility, that's what we're doing. We're training ourselves to see the spirit realm. It's all around you. It's all around us. The only thing that ever changed in my life is my perception of what I was seeing. Because the teacher taught me this spiritual sight. The teacher took his time to show me, he trained me and showed me this way of life. And now it happens on its own. I don't have to have the teacher with me all the time. I don't need him with me he is with me all the time in spirit, so there's that. I can't even remember, I haven't talked to him for months, shouted him out, sent a couple emails, but that's it. Because he didn't train me to sit there and have to be next to him and hold his hand and have him give me direction on every little thing. In the beginning, I had to be there so he could train me and teach me. But he's like, yo, Zin, you got to be able to do this without me. And so my nobility, take heed. Put this to use. Put this to practice right now. Paragraph 80. The spirit realm or the kingdom of heaven is not invisible. The issue is that you are blind. You are simply untrained in this specific subject. It is your ignorance that makes the spirit realm invisible to you. And likewise, it is your awareness that makes the spirit realm visible to you. What do you see? In fact, the more ignorant we are, the less we see. And the more aware we are, the more we see. However, we must also remember that it is this balance between knowledge and ignorance, or knowing and not knowing, that forms the totality of what we perceive of ourselves and our environment. Here, the term ignorance is more accurately the mysterious. Now this is deep, my nobility. This is the mystery of life right here that we're talking about. The mystery is that you expect it to happen in an unexpected way. That unexpected way is the mystery. What a mystery. When I walked out of the Temple of Hip Hop building and saw the teacher standing by himself, well, just one other person right there next to my truck, just waiting for me to come and speak and learn and connect. And to teach the mysteries is to reveal the truth. True ignorance, motivated by fear and doubt, rejects the truth. However, ignorance, as the great mystery, is also a form of knowing. It is unknowing, or the unknown, which is actually a form of knowing. You know, this is right here, my nobility. This is what the world don't want. This is what the government thinks they know everything. The politicians, the leaders of all these industries, and the leaders of big tech, and the owners of Facebook, and all this, and all the CIA, all this. They think they know everything, and that's why they don't know anything, and that's why they fail at everything they do. You know that you don't know. And the knowing that you don't know is an awareness unto itself. Mystery is a force like knowledge. It too can transform a human being for the better. The assumption that ignorance is somehow wrong and to be avoided in and of itself is not a holistic thought. Ignorance and mystery are to be used towards one's total awareness. As it is said often, ignorance is bliss. Sometimes the best knowing is to not know at all. Many people have achieved great things in life simply because they didn't know that they couldn't achieve them. They didn't know of the risks, so they proceeded with what appeared to be courage, but in fact was ignorance. This is how hip-hop got started. My nobility. This is why it's so great. This is where hip-hop, you just start from where you're at, wherever you're at right now, is exactly where you should be. And what you don't know is a mystery. And that mystery is what calls us forward. It's what drives us forward. It's the mystery of the unknown that leads to knowledge. We have observed and experienced the fact that it is mystery that prompts one to know. It is not knowing that prompts one to know, but we can also say that it is knowing that produces more knowing, because it is knowing that you are ignorant that motivates you to become more aware. Mysteries and secret knowledge help you to humbly remember all that you do not know and how important it is to know, even if what you know is that you don't know. If you don't know something, my nobility, I don't know. Say I don't know instead of pretending to know. That fake it till you make it? No. Create it as you make it. Create it as you create it. Actually, knowing relaxes the mind, while it is mystery that motivates the mind. It is when we do not know something that we seek to know of it. But should we seek to know of everything that we may become partially aware of from time to time? Most people run from ignorance and towards knowledge, not realizing that some things are not to be known. Some things are just not to be known, my nobility. The knowing of things alters one's physical condition, one's physical appearance, and the circumstances of one's physical life. All knowledge or knowing is not good knowledge or even useful knowledge. In fact, too much information at one time can cause an overload in the mind and produce a nervous breakdown in a person. Pay attention here, my nobility, because ignorance can do the same. Not enough information at one time can also cause the nervous breakdown of a person. Of course, the issue here is balance. In addition, unpleasant information can also do the same, as with doubtful information and fearful information, as well as information that turns out not to be true or reveals itself as false after you've set your life up around the reality that such false information provided to you. And when you get older and you find out that you was lied to, you go through anger. Now, I always knew that the colonizer system was lying to me in school. But when I realized that they were literally lying about everything they lied about, everything you learned in school was a lie. When you realize that, let that righteous anger come through. Let it transmute into something more empowering. But when people realize what the government's been doing to them, really wake up to and they're waking up. But when the masses wake up to what the government's been doing since 2020, and especially 2021, when people realize the evil that the government has been doing to them, we will see such a mass outburst of anger and outrage towards those people. Rise up, my nobility. Do not participate in the anger and outrage. Be above that. We can see here that awareness is a balancing act between knowing and unknowing. Awareness is unknowing and knowing at the same time. Peep that. Awareness is unknowing and knowing at the same time. We create ourselves and our life circumstances based upon what we want to know and what we refuse to know. We are that which we accept and that which we do not accept at the same time. It is your knowing and your unknowing together that creates your total awareness. Therefore, in your quest to know and to become educated, do not look down upon ignorance. Instead, learn to live consistently within the awareness of the total you. Live holistically. I was just talking with somebody about this. It's the holistic. Live holistically, my nobility. That's the wholeness. That's the oneness. Live without duality in thinking. Be only one character. Be your higher self. Fix your mind upon only one character, and it shall become real for you. But remember, whatever the mind creates, the mind must maintain. Doubts, fears, and anxieties hinder the mind from maintaining the productive perceptions you have created for it. The same applies to the body, the spirit, and the tongue. Notice that. My nobility, what you speak into existence, the tongue must maintain that. What you think into existence, what you pray into existence, you must think and continually pray those into existence to maintain them. Do not allow yourself to become so overwhelmed by the world that you cause emotion. This is the key right here. This is the key right here. This is a paragraph to meditate upon. This is so important because most people ain't doing this. Most people ain't doing this. But we doing this, my nobility. This is what we about. Do not allow yourself to become so overwhelmed by the world that you cause emotional confusion and uncertainty in your own mind, body, and spirit. Such will deteriorate those things and ideas created by your mind, body, and or spirit. Remember, Whatever the mind creates, the mind must maintain. Create yourself and be consistent and content with your creation. This is what it means to be aware and alive. That's what it means, my nobility, to be aware and alive. Now, I read that section because the unexpected is the mystery. I was looking, we talk about expect the unexpected quite a few times in the gospel of hip-hop, especially with prayer. Expect it to happen in an unexpected way. Go a little deeper, read perform prayer. In the third overstanding, the divine performance, read perform prayer. I was going to read from that tonight. I thought, no, I want to talk about awareness and the mystery, because the unexpected way, that's the mystery. The expectancy, I expected, that's my awareness. But the unexpected way, that's the unknown. That's the mystery. That's the miracle of God. So you expect God to happen in an unexpected way, in a mysterious way. And it's that mystery, it's that not knowing that gets us to, that motivates us to know. It's that unexpected miracle that motivates us to know God more. How can I experience God more? Like I want to just keep experiencing God for eternity. Like an eternal being can never run out of, like God will be mysterious forever and known at the same time. That's the balance. I think I was kind of raised, that like we die and we go to heaven, and when we go to heaven, everything is revealed. And I used to think that. Then I read my Bible and said, I don't even say that in the Bible. Like, the Euro-Christian idea of heaven, I don't even know where they got that from. It ain't like, that's not what the Bible says. When we experience heaven, when we experience life after this, like God's going to put us in a new situation, in a new circumstance. God's going to teach us and grow our awareness, and the mystery never ends. Why would you want it to end? Why would you want the mystery to end? The mystery is fascinating. This life is always in motion. I was sitting there today, right? This is a kind of a day-to-day type thing. We'll reel this back into our day-to-day life. I was driving today. I got this 2002 Acura RSX Type S. It's a little, most people would call it a beater car. Man, that car is so much fun to drive, right? I didn't expect that car. It just popped up on Craigslist. I had the cash. I just sold the I just sold the Mustang. I was just, the story. And I was like, oh, I'll check out this Acura. And I went for a ride in that little zippy car. I was like, yo, man, this car is so much fun to drive. And so I bought it, all right? And so I don't go out much in the week, right? I don't need to go out and spend a lot of money in the week. And so I look forward to my drive time. I like to go out and drive. And like today, I knew like I wanted to come up with a message from the Minista, and I didn't really have any ideas of what I was going to talk about. So I was just like, I'm going to drive around San Antonio. I got some errands to run. And so I'm just driving that car, like, woo, and I had to kind of visualize that. I was like, I need to go out tomorrow and just get out of the house for a while, clear my head. As I was driving that car around, it's a manual, zipping around town, jumping on the freeway, kicking that VTEC in and just zipping around. And, I'm having the time of my life. And while I was driving home, I was like, wow, that was such a fun experience, and the experience is over. Now I'm going to go and have another experience. I'm going to write down my notes that I thought about while I was driving for Message from the Minista, find the gospel reading that I want to read from, take the pictures that I put up here with my phone and edit those up so I can, get this video ready, get the room ready, get the lights ready, get the camera. I had all that experience. But I was just thinking, I enjoy that experience of driving that car around. And, I just do. And while I was driving it today, I was like, listening to it rip. And, then it was done. The experience was done and it was over. And that's our life. Like when you're 48, you look back, and I was joking with my brother. He said, when I think of a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago,
what I'm thinking about was actually back in 2003, 20 years ago. And I was thinking about that. I was like, yeah, when somebody says 20 years ago, I'm still thinking of the 1980s was 20 years ago. No, that was 40 years ago. That's how fast it goes by. And let me tell you something. By the time I hit 32, 33, I started my apprenticeship, my life took up a whole new adventure. Now, I've been in some adventures. I've always lived an adventurous life. I got an adventurous spirit, an adventurous soul. But when I let go and let God and experience the unexpected miracles in my life and the mystery of life and all of this greatness that God has gifted me with, I got to tell you, my nobility, life is an adventure. And you want to live life as an adventure. You want to experience life as the adventure it is, as the unexpected adventure that it is. Don't waste time trying to plan every little detail out. Don't waste time with the ways of the world and their ways. Don't waste your life working for somebody else at a job you hate to retire only to get sick and die. That's a wasted life. And what's the cost and what's the price you pay for a wasted life? Do not waste your life. This life God created this time, in this time and space, God created you specifically for a will, plan, and purpose, and it's an adventure. It's an experience, and I mean an experience. Not just some mundane, I mean an adventure. Let God in and let God, you might look insane to the world. You might even look insane to yourself. But I'll tell you, when you start to get into your 40s and you see how quick life goes by, you'll be happy that you took that time to take life seriously as an adventure. And hear what I just said there. Take life seriously as an adventure. I mean, it's exciting. When I think about the adventures I've been in, and I think about the miracles in my life, you can see I get excited about it. I want to tell people about it. When I write my book of my story, it's nuts. And I got to write a book that just talks about the principles. I'm just writing a book right now talking about the principles of living a hip-hop spiritual life and what that means with God. But I got a whole book I'm going to write about just my adventures. Because I don't know, but to me, if I read a book about the life I've lived and the experiences I've had that I don't even talk about here on camera, I don't even put out in the digital world, it's going to come in a physical book to read the actual super adventures that I've been on. And the miracles and the just mystical experience of my life. Like, I would read that book and think that maybe somebody just made it up. But I wish I was creative enough and had enough imagination to make something up like the life I've experienced. Like, it's amazing. And so is yours, my nobility. No matter where you're at, so is yours. I've met the most amazing people with the most amazing stories. And I love hearing about their adventures and their experiences with the great mystery, with the great mystical mystery of God. Rise up, my nobility. You were created to experience a life of fulfillment, a life of excitement, a life of adventure. And no, it's not always easy. You watch those adventure movies, you watch, like people are stimulated watching these adventure movies, action movies and stuff. People get in some hairy and some crazy situations, and you think, wow, that looks exciting. And people are too afraid to go and live an exciting life for themselves. No, you're going to sleep in places you didn't expect to sleep. You may sleep in you might be put in dangerous situations only to watch God leave you completely protected through those dangerous situations. You might go through some darkness, so when you really do see the light in the darkness, you say, yo, I can see in the dark now. I can see in the dark now. And so it's the perception of what's happening to us that changes. So expect that to happen in an unexpected way. Go forward in the mystery. Go forward in the mystical mystery of God, my nobility. As you go forward in this week, just know that. Know that you are special in that way. And know that you are a mystical force of creation. And no one can take that from you. Why? Because you are a miracle, a living, breathing, walking miracle. And there it is. Hey!